I introduce Teri Dillion, the 2019 Distinguished Member Award, provided to a member who has enriched the community through research and mentorship, where their work with FCGPS is now 4 corners. Teri began her study of social psychology as an undergraduate at Northern Arizona University. She holds a Bachelor of Science, is a dual major in Women's Studies and Sociology. She studied contemplative psychotherapy at Northern University and graduated in 2008. Her clinical experience is concentrated on dual disorders of addiction and mental health, especially as seen in involuntary settings. She's worked at a residential treatment center in Portland, Oregon, for men court-ordered to long-term addiction treatment. While there, she cut her teeth doing as many as 12 groups per week, including her most significant group challenge to date, a very rowdy weekly conflict resolution group with 50 members from the entire male clientele of the center. Teri is going to be leading the large group after this. I hope that that won't be the most challenging group you've ever done, or that this one won't be. She holds a license in addiction counseling, professional counseling, and also a certified group psychotherapist. She's worked in private practice, court-ordered substance abuse, and the Boulder County Jail. In 2013, she took a board role with FCGPS to help run this conference, and is one of the reasons all of us are here. In 2016, immediately after completing her first semester teaching large group at Northern University, Teri was diagnosed with terminal motor neuron illness. Since then, she has largely retired from clinical practice to focus on writing and excavating lessons of illness and disability. Her first book, No Pressure, No Diamonds, Mining the Wisdom of Illness and Adversity, is set to be published in 2020. Teri and I randomly worked in, I think, 4 to 5 different jobs at the same time. At Naropa, at Boulder Alcohol Education Center, at the Boulder County Jail, and very briefly for an organization called Go Sober. And what jumps out to me about Teri as a person is when this organization, which does not believe in relapse, asked Teri about her view of harm reduction or relapse, and they had a disagreement, she just quit. And I always remembered that you stuck to who you were and what you believed in, rather than doing it to make a living or because somebody else wanted you to. So I wanted to share that memory of you today. Please join me in warmly welcoming Teri Dillion.
Thank you, Matthew, for this award. And thank you, everyone. I am humbled and touched to receive it. Really, as most of you have probably already noticed, those of us who get bitten by the bug of group work are strange birds. After all, don't most sane people do everything possible to avoid sitting in tight circles with others who bring up feelings from their dysfunctional family dynamics from long ago? What kind of sadists actually choose to pay for this particular form of emotional torture? Right. Those of us truly odd enough to be fascinated by what kind of magic happens when you sit a bunch of us illogical and maddening, surprising and brilliant beings together for an honest conversation. Those of us romantic enough to trust that eventually, good things will happen as a result. It was very early in my graduate education that I was fortunate to discover the transformative potential of groups. Due to the excellent training opportunities and mentorship I had available at the time, learning to lead groups effectively soon turned into a professional passion. By both participating as a member and eventually learning how to lead group process, I became witness to a swiftness of positive change within them that would have taken years of individual therapy to accomplish, if even then. So it was naturally an honor, not to mention a lot of fun, to get to collaborate on reviving this organization a few years back. And I owe a debt of gratitude to others for exactly this. For Casey Burnett, then president, and to the board for working so hard to rebuild a viable local training organization. And for so many of you here in this community for providing examples of how to lead with respect for the potent transformative power in good group work, especially for my mentors and clinical supervisors, including Jeffrey Price, Dr. Elizabeth Olson, and Dr. Bob Unger. By watching you and questioning you, I eventually clarified more of my own voice and style as a leader, and how I most wanted to support members towards finding their own voices. And after all, aren't communities like this, training us how to be led effective and healthy groups, sorely needed now more than ever? As I think we're all aware, group leadership can be used for good or ill. It can be used to encourage or discourage differentiation, affect our ability to understand and appreciate difference, and influence our willingness to recognize our basic commonalities as humans. As such, I believe functioning and healthy groups are one antidote to the collective problems the world faces today. They provide a testing ground for which to experiment with new and more flexibly creative ways of relating. And clearly, we need each other to help accomplish most anything important to pursue, whether it's individual or societal healing in the service of increased understanding, justice, or trust in one another. Since we all hold our own unique slice of life experience and intelligence, we need each other's voices. Voices which bolster us, encourage us, temper us when necessary, and to provide the perspective we most need to navigate our lives with an increased sense of choice, self-awareness, and respect for that which feels like another. Which is why I hope this organization grows even stronger in its mission to provide training and in community to therapists seeking to embrace the skill and art of group leadership. Our communities could only be made stronger by having more inspired and capable leaders, as strange and romantic as we may be. So again, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for this award. It's an honor to be counted a member in this particular group of brilliant group lovers.
Stay here for a few minutes while people say things about you. It seems really painful when I was nominated. Bob, I know you prepared some remarks.
Well, unaccustomed as I am to having emotion, anyway, I'll do my best. I taught in the contemplative psychotherapy program at Europa for 25 years, leaving about 5 years ago. And as most of you know, my primary interest and passion was in group psychotherapy and group dynamics. Many students seem to enjoy my classes, but over the years, a handful, a number of whom are here today, you know who you are, really took the bait and jumped in with passion equal to my own. Teri was a solid member of that group. Thanks to relentless cajoling by myself and other converts, such as Jeff over there, many students attended the AGPA National Conference, but moved on to other interests and pursuits after graduation. But Teri was one of the stayers. I began to see her every year, and soon she came to me for supervision on groups, both the difficult group she was running at an addiction agency and for the therapy group she was beginning to launch in her practice. What was evident from the beginning of my work with Teri was her devotion to the craft of group facilitation. It is quite easy, especially for clinicians with a reasonable amount of charisma, to rely on the energy of their personality as the primary tool of group leadership, avoiding the endless training and self-reflection it takes to master the nuances of truly effective group facilitation. Teri impressed me from the beginning with her allegiance to mastering the true craft of group leadership. We would engage in conversations about difficult situations presented in her groups. There were so many. Oh my God. discuss some meaningful approaches in context of the theories of group dynamics and leadership. And she would return to her groups to try them out, even when they clearly stretched her comfort level. As time went on, I developed an increasingly greater appreciation for Teri's work. And as I saw my own time at Naropa and career as well, drifting towards completion, I began to think of Teri as one of the clinicians with whom I felt most comfortable continuing in the lineage of group leaders from which I myself emerged. But then, as we all know, for reasons none of us can pretend to know, Teri's illness entered the picture, and our tight-knit group community has been forced to deal with this profound loss since. I visited with Teri in her home twice recently, where her means of conversation has been using her eye to enable her computer, right there, and software to synthesize her part of the conversation. I'm sure that many of you know me as a fast talker and thinker, but somehow I found that Teri's presence, insight, and perhaps most inspiring, her humor, filled the room so completely that it was no problem, and in fact, a profound privilege to chat at her pace. Teri, you are the gift that will always keep on giving. Certainly to me, and I think all of us here, to honor you today. Thank you.
I'm going to risk impeachment in my first term as vice president and invite a few more people to speak. We're probably over the time a little bit, but Casey, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Bob, for leaving your tissue. I will also cry. So many wonderful things have already been said. And I was reflecting yesterday about the beginning of the institute I was about to lead. Kept thinking, we made this. For those who don't know, this conference didn't exist, but 6 years ago. You take one lunatic, myself, and one well-grounded individual, and you can spawn something incredible. It's the same formula that has Mark and Marion working together so well. And so there's lots to think about with running groups, not just from a professional training standpoint, but for dealing with, you had polite words, we're a bunch of weirdos. And weirdos who have these endless needs and wants, especially as members. And if you're in the role of president, some reason they all want to come to you thinking you're going to solve every single one of them. So having a friend and ally like you is the reason that this is sustained and has grown. And I too hope and wish that your work continues to be fruitional in all the lives these professionals are meeting. And beyond the clinical professionals, there's more and more people who are just passionate about groups. And I'm truly excited to see you awarded, recognized, and to have you as a friend. And recently we were in a conversation, you were speaking about the need to surrender and come to acceptance, and how if you could relive some things, you might live by a few fewer rules. And there's a bit of funny tension in that, knowing working with you and the rules you loved so dearly in our professional lives. And I think there's a right amount of tension. Sometimes we get faced with a lot of pressure. And you, Teri, are a diamond that has come out of it. And thanks for being here. Congratulations.
So, is there anyone else who would like to come up, feels inspired to share with Teri? Jeff, I can't help himself.
Ooh, where's the microphone? Teri was a student at Naropa University, and she was one of the classes that she had in the small group process, and I just happened to be fortunate enough to be her group leader. And I just want to let you know that it was a very difficult group. It wasn't a group I would wish on anybody. There were only a few people in that group who were engaged and willing to put themselves out there and take the risks that it takes to be a group member. Teri was one of them, thankfully. So my gratitude and my thanks go for that. I also want to mention that we don't do this work alone. I happen to be in really excellent supervision with Helen Unger at the time, helped guide me through that. And after Teri graduated and got into private practice, I was going to be jealous, Bob, that she was in supervision with you, but she was in supervision with me too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was really wonderful doing that work together. Teri was extremely focused and really wanted to do a good job as a therapist. It was really wonderful. But you know how it is in supervision, sometimes you get to talking about other things and maybe personal things. And without revealing too much, she was telling me about this guy that she met, and she had high hopes and was falling in love. And I just want to point out that that young gentleman is sitting over here, John, her husband, a great guy and total support. And I just wanted to point out a few of those people who are also in Teri's life, and it's such a privilege for me to be in Teri's life. And we're going to be reprising our large group leadership experience in a few minutes, which we're both very excited about. And I'll just say congratulations on this well-deserved award, Teri.
Hi, Teri. I didn't prepare any words in part because I wanted to embody something that I see you do so incredibly well. There's a memory that I have with you of one of my first AGPAs, and we met in San Diego. We started talking, we shared our passion for groups, and I will never forget all of us from Colorado crammed into your tiny hotel room having a dance party. And we were kind of pre-gaming, but we ended up having so much fun, and we didn't want to leave your room. And since that time, I haven't gotten to spend nearly enough time with you, but you've been continually on my mind, and I have so enjoyed following your career. And one of the things that I feel most inspired by with you is how you have integrated fierce kind of loving with a very healthy and integrated form of aggression to speak truth to power, to challenge, to go after what you want in such a way that I think Spotness would be incredibly proud.
Please come on.
I felt like I wanted to hold the seat of a female voice, and that's something that you have helped me do in my work as a group therapist. I was first exposed to large group in class maybe 8 years ago with Bob and Teri and Mark Oberg. And we were a really rambunctious cohort, and we had none of it. We hated it. We hated you all. And I just remember seeing you work, Teri, and holding the seat with such grace and strength. And it informed me in my work as figuring out how am I going to hold the seat as a woman in a femininely powerful way. And then I remember in the reprise, the early days of CRGPS, being in a large group with you and some other faces. And I remember a moment that I will never forget when I felt really tiny and really small in large group, as one does. And I dared to share something vulnerable. And I got totally dropped, as one does in large group. And I was so pissed. And I said to myself, I'm going to share how pissed I am that I got dropped. And I did it. In part because I think I knew you were there in the room. And I did. I was like, well, how did I just get dropped? Casey was getting picked up. Everyone, all the men were being really loud. And people were paying attention. I was like, why am I getting dropped? And you from across the room said, I'm amazed by your strength. And I felt like you were the only person that saw me, and it was enough. It helped me to internalize your strength as a strong female group leader and therapist. And I've been holding that inside of me as I've gone through this work. So thank you.
That seems like a good place to stop. Thanks, Elizabeth.